BTS Jimin crying? Jungkook and V do the unexpected for his mother. Have you ever felt confused when a big news story comes out and you wonder? Recently, a touching moment from BTS went viral, stirring the emotions of many people, including their fans. Jimin, who is currently serving in the military, was seen getting very emotional and receiving support from his two closest friends, Jungkook and V. Many people were moved by this. However, let's take a step back and think. Does this story really reflect the truth? Or is it just an attempt to grab attention, create a sensation, or even a hoax intentionally spread? The story involves BTS members Jimin, Jungkook, and V, who are all fulfilling their military duties. In a challenging and disciplined environment, Jimin is said to have received incredible emotional support from his friends Jungkook and V. Amid the heartbreaking news about his mother's worsening condition, Jimin was reportedly seen crying and receiving a warm hug from both of his friends. Naturally, fans immediately expressed their support, and hashtags like #StayStrongJimin and #SupportForJiminMom went viral. But behind this emotional story, there's a big question. Did this really happen as reported? We all know that media outlets often manipulate facts or even create more dramatic narratives to attract attention. So, is this moment really about friendship and genuine support, or is it just a strategy to maintain BTS's image as an untouchable icon? Let's take a look at the facts. In the military world, especially for a celebrity like Jimin, it's very rare to hear about emotional hugs like this. If you're a soldier, amidst the routine and strict military discipline, would you really be hugging each other for so long, as the news claims? Could this be a tactic to show BTS's human side that's rarely seen in the media? On the other hand, many argue that the friendship between Jimin, Jungkook, and V is incredibly strong, and they've been through many challenges together over the years. So, perhaps what we're reading is true. However, if you're wondering about the authenticity of this moment, you're not alone. All news circulating on social media and news portals always contains elements that we should question. It's important to ask yourself, why has this news spread so widely? If we're honest, we know that BTS is one of the biggest music groups in the world, with millions of devoted fans. Any news about them is sure to attract a lot of attention. But could this type of story have been deliberately created to enhance BTS's image, or even to cover up larger issues? Have you ever wondered what the motivation behind this coverage is? Perhaps the media wants to show BTS's emotional side to balance out their often perfect image. But could this also be a tactic to maintain their appeal amidst all the potential controversies that could emerge at any time? One thing is certain, this kind of news tugs at the heartstrings of many people. The strength of the friendship shown by Jimin, Jungkook, and V seems to remind us of the reality that even in tough times, support from friends and family is crucial. However, we must remember that emotionally charged stories are often produced in very specific ways to influence how we feel. Have you ever felt too influenced by a story like this? Over time, we often feel like everything we read or watch is a fact. But it could just be a story created to evoke sympathy or even for commercial purposes. How can we know if what we're reading is truly honest? There's one question you may be asking yourself right now. Why is this so important to publish? Do we really need to know about such personal moments? Or is it just a strategy to divert attention from bigger issues happening elsewhere? Of course, the friendship between Jimin, Jungkook, and V is extraordinary, but the bigger question is this story really about their friendship, or is it more about how BTS wants to be viewed by the world? Remember, we live in a world full of information, and often this information comes with a touch of drama. It's easy to get caught up in the narrative the media builds. Where do we draw the line between reality and sensation? Now, I want to invite you to think critically about all of this. Are you sure this story is a true reflection of Jimin, Jungkook, and V? Did this emotional moment really happen? Or is it perhaps a way for the media to grab attention? What do you think? Is this a story of genuine friendship, or is it a sensational tactic to maintain their image in the public eye? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you believe this event actually happened, Or is it just a media fabrication to grab attention? Does this story reflect the truth? Or is it just a hoax designed for sensational purposes? Ultimately, like many other stories, we have to choose whether to believe it or not. In an increasingly complex world filled with rapidly spreading information, it's hard to know what's truly real and what's just created to manipulate our feelings. It all depends on how we see it, as a touching friendship story or as a media tactic to create a sensation. So, what do you think about all of this? If the news is true, we can't help but feel moved. Imagine how powerful the influence of friendship and solidarity is in the lives of Jimin, Jungkook, and V, who have long been known as true brothers. They not only share the stage in the entertainment world, but also in their personal lives, which are filled with challenges, especially as they go through their military service. This is what makes their story different and much deeper than just a professional relationship. Maybe many are skeptical about the intensity of this news, but if it's true, that emotional moment will serve as a reminder that in a world full of pressure and busyness, love and support from close ones can be the main source of strength to survive. As we know, the life of a K-pop idol is filled with media attention, packed schedules, and enormous demands. But behind the spotlight, there are also ordinary people who experience sadness, anxiety, and loss. If this news is true, we will see another side of all three, which we might not often witness. They're not just singers or celebrities. They're friends who look out for each other in tough times. This could be a touching moment for BTS fans and ARMY worldwide, because they show that true friendship and love can be a powerful source of strength. More than just a story about personal relationships, this can remind us all that in today's fast-paced world, we often forget the importance of emotional connections and moral support in our everyday lives. Have you ever felt like Jimin, overwhelmed by family problems or the health of a loved one? Maybe we can learn a lot from how Jungkook and V supported their friend. Amidst the tough routine, they took time to offer hugs and comforting words. This is a real example of how true friendship can provide immeasurable strength, even in very challenging situations. If it's true that this news reflects reality, then we can pray that Jimin and his mother find the strength they need to get through these difficult times. The presence of Jungkook and V as true friends offering unconditional support is definitely a key factor in helping Jimin not feel alone in facing this big challenge. However, on the other hand, we also need to question how this information reached the public. Is this news just a media strategy created to attract attention, or is there truth behind the story? We can't just accept everything without critically thinking and looking deeper. Maybe we need to be careful in judging the information we receive. If it's true, we hope it becomes a touching and inspiring story, not just for BTS fans, but for all of us who may be struggling with our own challenges in life. So, if this news is true, let's support Jimin and his family in our prayers and hopes that they can get through these difficult times with unshakable strength and spirit. We can also learn from the strength of friendship and the unconditional support given by Jungkook and V, who truly show the meaning of true friendship. But if this is just part of a media fabrication, let's remain cautious and not get caught up in a temporary sensation. In the end, the most important thing is for all of us to maintain genuine relationships with our loved ones and support them in every step of their lives.